What's going on, everybody? My name is John Paz, and welcome to episode 27 of Destination Talk.
And I am Harry, and we are coming to you once again from Chop Studios, located at 750 Route 34 in Matawan, New Jersey. And thank you again to our show sponsor, the Academy in Garwood. To schedule your free class, you can reach them at 908-540-6936. Today we are joined by Kelly Hantman, a driving force behind the rise of girls flag football in Westfield, New Jersey. From helping build the program to earning recognition from the likes of Nike, the New York Jets, and even receiving an ESPY, her story is about passion, purpose, and creating real change. Kelly, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No, we appreciate it. So, Kelly, can you just give us a little bit of an introduction and a background on yourself as to like what you do and then how you kind of gravitated towards helping create this girls flag football program in Westfield?
Sure. Absolutely. So I'm a Westfield mom. I raised my family here in town. I'm a speech language pathologist. So I have a private practice in New York City. So my background is working with children and children of all ages. So I've been involved in youth sports here in Westfield for a long time. I started coaching both my children in their travel soccer programs. So that's how I got into that aspect. I have a rising junior son and a daughter who will be an 8th grader next year. And my husband, Dave, is also very involved he's the co-founder of Westfield Girls Flag Football. So it's been a great partnership, also outside of the home as well.
Right.
So what was the defining moment when you realized that girls flag football needed to exist in town?
Yeah. So my daughter, my husband coached in the PAL co-ed flag football league from when my son was in 1st grade all the way through when he was in 6th grade, because then they moved into a middle school division. And my daughter played 1 year with my son. That was amazing. Dave was the coach at that time. And during that time, there was only about 25 girls out of about 700 children playing in the league at the time of it was considered the co-ed league. It was open to girls always since its inception, but girls were not always choosing to play in this league. And my daughter, the defining moment, I was actually thinking about this, is she was sort of the decoy on this co-ed team, right? She was there was actually another girl, she took a friend along. But the first play of every game, she'd receive the ball. They'd say, oh, no one has to cover her, or who cares who we put on her? And she'd score a touchdown almost every play, beating these older boys, 2-3 years older than her, down the field, loving it, hand in the air. It was a moment. But what I realized at that moment was, I wish she could do this with friends. I wish she could be surrounded by her peers. I wish everyone could enjoy this. And the more I started talking about it with people, it was just the messaging was, my daughter doesn't want to play with the boys. So it just wasn't there. It wasn't an opportunity. So I would definitely say that was a defining moment when I realized, that we needed this for the girls for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then for you personally, Kelly, what did you have a sports background growing up? How did was it just you gravitated to football because of your children?
So I was a soccer player. I played from a very young age. I played travel soccer. We traveled all over the country even at that time, which probably sounds crazy because sports weren't like that then. My husband played 3 sports all season, all year round, went to college for sports as well. And we also coached. So I coached in the different leagues. I just love sports. Athletics is something that's a big part of our lives. It keeps us healthy, brings the community together, allows kids to be part of a team. So, being a part of a team just helps define so much of your character, sportsmanship, kindness, hard work ethic, counting on each other. So yeah, it was definitely something that we wanted to bring into our family and share with our kids.
How have you adapted to the sport of football?
I the football question. So I'm a happy, sad, long life Jets fan, season ticket holder. When my sister and I were born, my dad put himself on the wait list for the Jets and the Giants. He grew up a Giants fan out of Brooklyn. The Jets tickets came up first. He took them. So we became Jets fans, the whole family. Our ticket started in 1995, I believe. And I went to, as many games as I could with my dad. So tailgate, the whole experience.
Right.
Probably I was, at that time, less females were going to games, right? The bathrooms were always empty. It was a sign that less women, more men. But that was a very special time in my life. Football was always part of our life. So, it became the only TV my son was allowed to watch prior to age 2 being a speech language pathologist was football on Sundays. So that's the only time we put the TV on when he was little. So yes, it's been a huge part of our lives, and we were so happy to bring this, full circle to our daughter.
Awesome. So what was the buy-in from parents, schools, and the community when you were getting this going?
Yeah, I think the buy-in was very positive at the beginning. John, so we're part of the PAL, the Westfield PAL. It's an organization that's been around since 1956 in Westfield. The Co-ed League has been around for, I think it's about 26 years, that flag football program. And when I had the idea, I immediately just went to the head of the PAL. At that time, the president was John Dugan. He's a big staple in town. He was an officer here in town. And I said to him, John, what do you think about a girls flag football league? And he said, do you think they'd play? And I said, I do. I think they'd play. And he's like, all right, let's give it a try. So we actually scheduled a mini camp for 3 weeks after that. And that was how, like, the buy-in was, okay, we have to show that girls will want to play. So if we have a mini camp, if we start slowly and roll this out the right way, we'll know what our numbers are, what the interest is. And that first mini camp had about 82 or 83 girls, which was like big numbers, because John shared with me, I think the first flag football season in the 1980s was like 60 boys showed up for that. So he was like, obviously then, but here now, over 80 girls are showing up. And then we had two separate mini camps in the spring where we had over 100. I think it was 125 at the first one, and another 80 girls came to the second one. We had Anita Marks come out as well from ESPN. So we saw the buy-in was huge. Everyone was excited. Everyone was interested. And yeah, so it allowed us to jump into the following year. That following fall was our first season in 2022. I also think, just to follow up one quick thing, we also had a lot of sponsors who were interested right away. So when I sent out that mini camp email and we became live on Instagram, the manager of Athleta here in Westfield sent me an email, and that's when I knew it was real, like this was going to work. And she wrote to me that, your mission very much aligns with our mission of empowering young women reach your limitless potential. Like, we want to support you any way we can. And I remember running to my husband being like, Athleta reached out to us, like this, we have something here.
So all new ventures do face challenges. So what would you say some of the challenges were getting this program off the ground?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I guess at first it would be turnout, right? Will the girls show up? Will they come out for this game? The other would be, well, we had the infrastructure. So I shared with you that helped take away our challenges. That infrastructure gave us, and that's why coaches reach out to us today from different towns. But, we had our insurance, we had our field space, we had the tried and true co-ed league that's already done this, that show up every Saturday morning. So we were just jumping into time slots. So we were very, blessed and grateful to have that support. I guess just in terms of any other challenges, it's, this is a new game. So in teaching the girls the rules, some of the girls watched football a little bit, but others had not before. So a lot of it was, what are the rules of the game? What's offense? What's defense? Who's the snapper? And just, really the basics. So that first season looked very different than seasons 2 and 3. And, as we progress through these seasons, these girls have experience and we can jump right into it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. So you touched a little bit about it, but how have you seen this league impact the girls who are participating?
I definitely think this has built a lot of camaraderie, teamwork. There's no other place in Westfield, and I think about this all the time, and I don't take it for granted, or maybe most towns, where you pull into one location, one park, and you stand on that hill and you see thousands of kids and parents and grandparents and, neighbor. I mean, it's just a tremendous coming together of a community, and it's so unique. So I think everyone does not take that for granted and really feels, you could play all different sports, and there's so many great sports in this town and of course around the state, but to all be in one complex and all playing at the same time and just having that town camaraderie, I think is just really special.
Mm-hmm. So how have the girls reacted to having this sport now for them, especially not, if I'm not mistaken, it's at the high school level also in Westfield. So Nick, what do you think that means to them, knowing that, this isn't just a youth sport, this is something they can continue on into high school if they want to?
Absolutely. So we see the girls one of the first things our first year we did a time capsule. We wanted that first season of girls to just share their memories. We can look back on it after a certain amount of time. And a lot of it said like that we're the first or that we're making history. We had a lot of speakers come out. Sandy Mamry, who's the former athletic director, came out and to one of our first game days on a Saturday, and she shared with them how heroic this is, how special this is, especially title not like defeating all these breaking all these boundaries. And I think the girls really took that into heart that whole season, and I think they were playing for history, right? This is something exciting that will be part of Westfield history. The girls, I think, really thrive on that notion. I also think we've seen more 7th and 8th graders stay with the sport as the years go on. So I was actually just looking at our 7th and 8th grade count. We have 73 7th and 8th graders, which is huge considering all the commitments to all the other sports that run throughout the season.
Right.
In our first couple of years, and again, I looked at it combined, and I could tell you a little bit more why down the road, but that number just shows that there's interest and that these girls will eventually feed into the high school. So our high school has been playing, the funny story, just going back to Sandy, is that when she first came out, I said, Sandy, like, can we get this in the high school? And she said, Kelly, this is really hard. Hockey took a really long time. So, there are no promises here. We're just going to have to watch this wave. The next time I saw her, which could have been just a couple months later, she's like, we're bringing this. Like, this is coming. So that was just, I think that was also a defining moment to know that the high school believed in us. They saw that we were setting up a successful, let's call it feeder program of sorts, although we are just a rec program, and I could touch upon that as well. But yeah, so adding it to the high school was big, and the connection. I don't know if we've ever chatted about this, but the New York Jets and the NFL itself are really pushing for this to become, a statewide sport. It's already become a varsity sport in New York, but hopefully, well, yes, very soon it will become one in New Jersey. So really growing and establishing a team here in Westfield was definitely important to the coaches.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also think too, touching on the Westfield aspect, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Anzel is involved at the high school, which is unique because he's also the boys' varsity football coach. So I don't know how many times you get that opportunity to have that as well at the high school level.
Absolutely.
So kind of piggybacking off what we were just talking about, what towns or organizations have reached out to you after they see this model of what you guys have going here with Westfield's success?
Yeah, so I would definitely say it's nationwide. So starting locally, we've supported Kenilworth. They've started a great program. We created a blueprint that we send over when someone reaches out. And I'm quick to say when they send an email, like, please, let's set up a call. Because when they ask, like, what's your mission now? What's your goal? I would say our league feels good, right? We can always grow. If we get more field space, we can be bigger. We have a great number of sponsors. I feel really great about the place that we're in, but our mission is to set an example for other towns to want this for their girls. So Berkeley Heights definitely jumped right in. Also Kenilworth, there was an ex-NFL player out in Minnesota, who reached out. He played for the Vikings briefly. And he's like, I want to start this in my community. He reached out to me. I thought that was really cool. We've sent it to Rybrook, New York. I just had an email talking last night with a dad from Flemington. He runs a business locally, and he's in touch with his varsity coach to help bring it there. So it's really growing, and I feel lucky that people do want to reach out to us and do see us. Making ourselves visible was really important at the onset, just to help promote the sport and spread it.
You mentioned that years 2 and 3 looked very different than year 1. So I'll start with, what year will it be this September? And then Can you compare what has changed in the last few years from, say, 1 to 2 and 2 to 3?
Yeah, so this will be year 4, season 4. We only run in the fall. We run 10 weeks, with the first week being a mini camp to get to know your coaches, grab your uniform. I would also add on, from the onset, I think one of the successful aspects of the program was organization. I guess being a speech pathologist and just the way that I am, I try to be very organized, and that's important to me in youth sports. Sometimes youth sports can feel quite the opposite,
Right.
and I just wanted everyone to feel comfortable, in the know what to expect. So everything is put out, like newsletters, updates, emails to the coaches weekly. We really just want everything to feel great for the players and the families. What's changed? So year one, right there, what the girls had to learn all of the rules. The coaches were all new in the system. These rules are so different than like regular football that many of the parents watch. And and I do want to add on that we have a lot of moms, and we encourage women to come out and coach in the league. This year we had our first moms only coaching team, but I would say maybe like 40% of our team have women coaching on the three person staff. So I think that that's a great aspect. This year, like I shared, we have more seventh and eighth graders. I think because of the girls knowing the game well, they could really jump right into it. They can be more creative in their plays. Um, yeah, so I feel the growth has been great, and our numbers grow, right? So each year we start at 224, we grew to 300. We're hoping for 348 if we have the field space.
And
So
you've mentioned the seventh and eighth grade growth. So do you
yeah.
think the fact that there is a program at the high school gives these girls some a vision to say, hey, I can continue this beyond the eighth grade?
Absolutely. So last year we started an all-star game. So there was a seventh and eighth grade all-star game where the high school coaches did come out, and Coach Liptak, one of the coaches, spoke to the girls just about what it means to play flag football, what their program looks like, how she hopes for them to join. And I thought that was very moving. I think it's terrific when the high school coaches can bridge the gap and come to the youth and just show their interest and share their programs. So we really appreciated that. And Coach Ansel has been tremendous in working with us and looking into the future. Like he wants this to be big. He wants Westfield to be great. And I just think that's the mentality of the town. So also, there was something else you had asked me about.
Well, I can tell you from having spoken to Coach on many occasions, because he's at my facility often,
Yeah.
the topic of girls flag football has come up,
Oh,
and I can tell you that he's definitely invested in seeing the program grow and becoming better every year.
yes. And I was going to add on that this is what I was in the back of that other track. He and I recently spoke, and I connected him with one of our Westfield coaches who coach in our league, a dad, about starting a travel team. So our program is a rec league. This is the lane that I want to stay in. My children play a ton of competitive sports that take us all over.
Right.
And there's something really special about staying in town and keeping this. It's still competitive, but fun and community based. And so that's where we're going to stay. But I do understand the need of when you move into the high school program, you want a bridge, you want some talent, you want a lot following the high school rules, which our program is a little bit different. So we are looking to start a seventh and eighth grade travel team. And so that's in the works.
And that would just provide more opportunity to more girls to play.
Yes, at just a more competitive, if they're looking for a more competitive level.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So the league has gotten a lot of incredible recognition. How did the partnership with Nike and the New York Jets come about?
Yeah, so this is a great story. So being a season ticket holder, it was 2020 and it was COVID, and they wanted us to pay our bill. And that was a very hard bill to pay, considering people weren't necessarily jumping into crowded stadiums to watch sports. And so in talking to our rep over and over again, they were offering me signed footballs and helmets. And I said, I have that. I said, I just want to talk to the community relations director at the New York Jets, who's running some of these high school programs. It was the inception. And I just wanted to know how that would, I wanted to have that contact. And so he reached out to me. We've become, I guess, partners, in some form at this point. Elijah Hodges is the senior communication manager. He's running this whole expansion of girls high school flag football. We talked a lot about the youth. He was so excited about our program, but they were really focusing their efforts at this point in the high school. And that's where, a few days after our call, a big box showed up with flag belts for 100 girls for our first mini camp. And I guess they had excess Nike cleats from that first season, and maybe 30, 40 boxes. It's the most brand new shoes I've ever had in my house, of these gorgeous, shiny white cleats showed up. So we were able to, get them out to our players and our girls. And yeah, so their partnership has been invaluable. We also have Westfield, our league has, I guess, branched off to the Westfield Champions, which is also a league for children with special needs in town. So they've been really supportive. My son, Jack Hantman, along with Jeff Russo, run that league, and they saw that need based on some of the experiences. Jack was volunteering in other leagues, other sports for children with special needs. And he's like, why don't we do this for flag football? And so the Jets have really been supportive. They sent adapted flag football belts. They've been, different T-shirts for players. So they've been really supportive of us. And we've also had the opportunity to play at MetLife at their training facility. They've run mini camps for us. We were at the championship game last year at MetLife. They did a mini camp prior. They gave the girls dinner, brought us up into the stands, and the girls watched the game. So it's been a really nice partnership, and they're doing so much to bring girls forward. And obviously this is helping to benefit the NFL too, with all these new fans coming out as well.
What does that support from the Jets and the NFL just do to the overall program itself, as far as the morale and just boosting people's confidence with that?
Yeah, I think the community embraced that. They saw that. We share a lot of it, like I share on Instagram and our newsletters. So I think that support from an NFL team has been big. Having Anita Marks come out to one of our flag football camps. So Anita is an ESPN sports radio personality. She played professional women's football, professional flag football. She played football in college. So she was a great role model for the girls, just to, share her experience. So having her come out was really cool. Also having our high school girls flag football players come out. So they've been role models as well. They come to our mini camps. They help coach in our program. So a lot of volunteering and giving back, that's a big part of our program too.
So you were honored by the ESPYs. Can you tell us a little bit about how that moment unfolded for you?
Sure. So it was a complete surprise. I had no idea. I was in a remote area in New York visiting family. We were actually going to see our children who were, it was a visiting day for them. And so I was nowhere near home. And my husband mentioned to me, we had just come off the Jets mini camp. ABC News was there. It was, on TV. So there was a lot of buzz around the program. And my husband mentioned to me, like, Michael Kay might want to speak to you about the program on ESPN. And I don't know if I believed him. It was a crazy time. I was just flabbergasted. So I think I sort of put it to the back burner. He's like, we need to head to the house. We need a landline. And so we headed to the house, and I saw a car pull up, and it had Connecticut license plates. I had no idea who it was. It's a very long driveway to enter this property. And she introduced herself as a producer on the Michael Kay show, that he likes to prep guests before any type of interview, wants to make sure I was prepared. And I was so confused. I was like, okay, I guess I'm really going to be on the Michael Kay show. And so the landline rang, picked up the call, and it was just live on air that he announced that I was the winner of this ESPY, honoring women who are promoting and breaking barriers for young girls in sports, the youth, changing lives. And so it was a tremendous honor, and definitely a big surprise. I was caught off guard, especially given my I was in the middle of nowhere. This woman, I'm like, you came all the way from Connecticut to prep me for a call. So I was like, wow, I guess they're very thorough over there.
Mm-hmm. So since you've had a little bit of time to reflect on this award being bestowed upon you, what has it meant to you personally?
It's really special. I feel very fortunate and lucky to have been honored with this award. I think it just really shows, and it wasn't necessarily about me per se, but just everyone showed up for this program, and these girls are showing their high interest, and they're coming out. They're the ones breaking barriers, right? They're the ones breaking glass ceilings. So I definitely felt it was something shared. I love sports. I love ESPN. Sports is all we have on all day long. So it was very flattering. I was very humbled by the experience, and excited to share it with the community and the program.
So where do you see the league going in the next coming years?
I think it's going to continue, I want to say grow, but Westfield has field space issues. Definitely continuing with its popularity for sure. continuing to support the community. We do a jersey give back program where we collect jerseys from both the co-ed league and the girls flag football league, and we donated to them this year actually to a program out in Fresno, California. We sent boxes of jerseys as well as flag belts. I just did a big drop off to an amazing coach out in Irvington who runs their top high school program to help support their youth. It just cost saving. We have the jerseys, they're not worn often, right? So it's a great way for us to give back. And we also, we have the Connie Dwyer breast cancer awareness event. We have a lot of events that we participate in, food drives, Veterans Day we celebrate, and clothing drives. So we try to give a lot back to the community, and I think that's something important to continue to do as this league grows, just showing that we can do a lot for our community as the community can do for us. So
Kelly, what advice would you offer to someone who, and it doesn't even have to be girls flag football, but just anywhere in a community that would like to start moving in the direction that you guys have been able to do in Westfield with this sport?
I would just say, start slowly, get organized, start slowly. I really love the structure we use of running a mini camp to have interest. And I always, when people do reach out and they say, how do I do this? I say, have a mini camp, see who shows up, tell them to bring their friends, and then do another one. And you'll see even more show up the next time. So yeah, I would definitely say that would be the advice is, pilot something, try it, and don't be afraid to try it. Oftentimes you will have community buy-in, you will have interest. You just need to take the chance. And this is for many sports, it could be quite expensive, tons of equipment. You need like gym space, right? Overall flag football, you need a belt, you could have a jersey or a penny, right? And you need a couple of footballs, you need the girls. So it's not an expensive sport at this time right now, especially at the rec level to play. And I think that makes it really accessible to so many people.
Have you ever seen yourself in the future being more of an ambassador and sort of that person that maybe jump starts these leagues in other places more so than what you're doing right now?
That's a great question. I've been, people have reached out to be on different, committees and all throughout the state to join, more in a voice. And that was at a time that was just really busy. This league was getting started in my professional work. I'm so, we created that blueprint. So we do have something that we share about, all the steps that we took. And I'm so happy if a community needed us to get involved or felt like it was difficult to help out. It's definitely a passion of mine, my husband's, our family. And we also, I can't forget, we have the reason why this league is also so successful is we took upon a special teams board. So we have a group, the Parks family. They've been with us since the inception. We have 2 new families who have joined us, and it's actually interesting because it's husband and wife teams.
Right.
So it's not just like it's one person. So when it's one, it's 2, and now we're 6 others besides my husband and myself. So I think that just also really helps us. It's not that every weekend the pressure is just on us. And I also want to add that our program in general, the volunteers have been tremendous. So we have 3 coaches for 24 teams. I mean, that's a big number, right? We also have families who reach out and they want to join us, like on the weekends, helping to share our merchandise. They help us with setup, they help us with cleanup. Our sponsors come out every week and we do a giveaway for all the girls. So sometimes it's tangible, like it could be a gibbet, or it could be a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, or a headband. And sometimes it's a healthy snack, or Duck Donuts comes in, or we do a huge pumpkin patch. So we've had great sponsors come out each year to help us just be visible and make this more of a community-based event than just coming out to play football.
Mm-hmm. So where can people follow or support what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Westfield Girls Flag Football. I think that's the best way. We've had a dad in our program who's an Emmy award-winning NBA film producer, produced 2 videos that are on our Instagram page. It shows our season 1. I think it's season 1 and season 3, just where we are, what's going on. And I think that's a great way to take a look into the league. We've also had Dale Horton, who's a photographer in town, just come. He does our, game day, first opening day photos. So just showing our team and we've had the same sponsor since year one, Admit You, out of Livingston. So they've been our title sponsor. And I just think all that support is visible, and people can see, like, with buy-in from the community, having local sponsors, and the truth is, everyone watches women's sports. Everyone wants in on women's sports right now. And I would say half the sponsors came to us, and maybe we just asked, and it was never a big ask, because women's sports is growing. And this is going to become an NCAA sport in colleges. There's going to be Division I scholarships. They're on the horizon, and this will be a varsity sport in 2027 here in New Jersey. So
Well,
there's lots to look forward to.
and I just know also too, at the academy, we did very recently an event with the girls, and it went very well. And I know there was a lot of positive feedback that we got from that, and we're happy to be a part of assisting in growing this program in Westfield. In with regards to that, and one other question that we tend to always ask all of our guests is, what advice would you give to the younger athletes out there who are looking to get into playing sports?
Sports in general, I would just say give it a try. I'd say, especially this sport. One thing I didn't mention is this is a sport for everyone.
Right.
In our first year, when we were trying to, encourage girls in my daughter's class to come out, one mom said to me, it stands out in particular, my daughter doesn't play any sports. She just plays piano. She does dance. And I said, just try it. It might surprise you. And that was back in 5th grade. She's going into 8th. She's one of our 8th graders. She loves it. There's so many roles on this football team. You could be the snapper, and you're part of a team. You could have speed, but maybe you couldn't dribble or a basketball or a soccer ball, but maybe you're so fast. So maybe you're just great at pulling a flag. So there's so many roles for girls that this is a sport for everyone. So I would say come out, give it a try. When we opened registration, we had 224 girls register on day one this year. So it just shows, the registration opened in May. I think it was the 9th of May, and it's supposed to close at mid-August. We're on a wait list already for our oldest girls. So this sport is growing. I hope it just continues to spread throughout the country. And I do want to, Academy, right back to what you were saying, Academy did have a day where we came in and ran a girls flag football, like speed, agility, fitness, and we had a great turnout. And a lot of the families have jumped on, I know, for summer and to continue that work. They do a great job in offering athletes just a safe way to play, work their bodies. Agility is such a big part of flag football, speed as well. So we thank you, and we're excited for Academy to come on and be a new sponsor for the 2025 season.
Well, I do know we did take care of that, so that has happened, and we appreciate you coming to us. I know we had fun, and we look forward to being able to help build and grow the program in Westfield along the way as well. Well, Kelly, we do want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be a part of our show and helping us and to get your message out. And we want to wish you a great day. And that's a wrap on episode 27 of Destination Talk with Paz and Harry.